We don't have. Good morning. My name is Jan Shea, and I'm very happy to be here serving as your worship associate today. I hope you all enjoyed the extra sleep time last night, unless, of course, you watched the World Series. For the visually impaired, I have light brown hair, shoulder length, and I'm wearing a black and white top and black pants. On behalf of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, I welcome you to this morning's hybrid service, whether you're joining us virtually or here in the sanctuary. If you are new to First Unitarian and are interested in learning more about First U and our ongoing activities, we invite you to fill out one of the comment cards, the connections cards, and drop it in the offering basket during our offertory. If you're joining us online, you can find a link on the chat where you can provide your information if you wish. First Unitarian Church is a welcoming congregation. We affirm the worth and dignity of all, no matter your racial or ethnic identity, pronouns, or gender expression, sexual orientation, family structure, income, immigration status, language, size, or abilities. You are welcome here. I invite you now to look over at the camera on the wall to your left and take a moment to greet those who are with us online this morning. And now please turn and greet those around you. We have an action-packed sermon today, or service today, so bear with us. Today is a very special day for our First U choir. It's the very first service where we will be led by our new choir director, Tracy Hall. And we are just delighted to have you share in the joy of this new First U chapter. I had the pleasure of serving on the Music Director Search Committee with a dedicated group of First U musicians, and now I have the even greater pleasure of introducing her to you. As many of you already know, Tracy comes to us from Towson UU in Lutherville, Maryland, where she served as music director for the past 12 years, facilitating a wide variety of music programming, including, just to name a few, a drum circle, handbell choir, and musical theater productions. She has also taught voice and piano for many years in a variety of settings. Tracy was raised in a small town in North Carolina, not far from Charlotte, where she still has family. She studied music education at University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where she received her Master of Library Science degree, followed by a Master of Music degree at University of South Carolina. As if all of that wasn't enough to keep Tracy busy, she has also pursued holistic fitness, belly dance, West African dance, and salsa classes. Oh yes, she also has a few hobbies that she pursues in her spare time. We are very fortunate to have Tracy and her talents join us as our new music director, and we're thoroughly enjoying our rehearsal time with her. Please be sure to introduce yourself to Tracy so she can get to know our wonderful congregation. I'm confident that you'll love her as much as we already do. And now, Let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Larry Pierce, minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. For visual accessibility, I'm 6 feet tall, grayish hair, glasses, and a blue patterned stole. Welcome, Tracy. We've been waiting for this moment, and I'm so glad that you're here today and that we get to enjoy music making together. You all look really good when you have an extra hour of sleep, I must say. So for our call to worship this morning, given the moment that we're in, we need more and more prophetic voices that will call us out of our slumber and encourage us to keep rising up. We need more prophetic voices, even our own, that will speak with bravest fire. Therefore, for our call to worship this morning, I offer these words from Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "What is needed is a realization that power without love is reckless and abusive, and that love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love." May our worship today stir us in both power and love. To meet this moment that we are in, let us join in love, faith, and strength as we gather today in worship together.
If you have a chalice at home, I invite you to join me in lighting it now. As Reverend Larry lights our chalice, I offer you these words from Katie Sivani Gelfand. We light our chalice as a symbol of gratitude as we celebrate the abundance of our lives together. In this sanctuary, we harvest bushels of strength for one another and offer our crop with the hands of compassion and generosity. In the authentic and gentle manner of our connections, we cultivate a simple sweetness to brighten our spirits. May we be grateful for the ways we nourish and uplift each other, for it is the sharing of this hallowed time together that sustains us. And now, please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Please remain standing after the hymn for our unison affirmation. Please join me now in affirming our mission. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
I remember a phrase that I heard a lot growing up. Maybe you heard it as well. It is better to light just one single candle than to curse the darkness. As we gather now in a time of prayerful meditation, let us recognize whatever it is that we are holding in our heart. Particularly now at this moment, let us focus on the concerns that we have for our wider world. Spirit of love and compassion, allow us to sense how tragic it is that those who have endured the hurricane in the Caribbean, Melissa, those who have suffered, those who have died. May we hold them in our hearts. May we do what we can to alleviate that suffering and to help them feel connected to a global community. Spirit of love and compassion. Our hearts go out to those who have been sitting on the edge this week, wondering whether their benefits for nutrition and food to support their family and their children would be cut off. May they not feel alone. May they know that there are people who are advocating for them. Spirit and love, of love and compassion. May we gradually move towards a time where we have a government and a society that collaborates more and more for the common good. For these concerns and those of our world, we take a moment in a shared silence to hold them together, to allow our heart to expand, to hold all in our world who this day are suffering. We also take a short time in our service each Sunday to give expression to whatever particular concerns that we might have for those close to us, those that we know who are either members of this congregation, friends or family or neighbors, those who we are holding in our heart in a particular way. If you are joining us online, you may write the names of those people in the chat, and we'll hear some of those concerns now in the sanctuary. So briefly, if you could speak loud enough so that I can hear you, let's hear some of those concerns first in this section. Okay. Yeah. So in response to hunger, her sister and others are gathering apples in their orchards and giving them to those in need in Wisconsin. Any other concerns in this area? How about here? The election, the upcoming election. Okay. Okay. Michael's father, may he find peace as he is in hospice now. Paula. Okay. Paula's sister Kathy, whose blood pressure won't come up. Okay. Pamela. Yeah, Pamela's Uncle Tom, who passed away last week. And let us also care for you during this time. Anyone else?
My hope is that my two grandchildren marry one another in the Air Force. Two little children will be paid.
Okay. So concern about her grandchildren, that they will be paid. They're in the Air Force right now. Kim's mother. How about you?
I have a family member who's facing a diagnosis of dementia.
Okay, a family member who is facing a diagnosis of dementia.
Joan Priest Health.
Joan Priest. who's in the hospital now, and her health. Tracy's father. Is there someone else? Raise your hand. Okay. Jackie, you were pointing to someone? Oh, didn't you already go, Kim? Okay. All right. For all of these concerns, let's surround them in love and in care. Is there a joy that even a glimmering, small bit of joy that you might be holding in your heart too, that in giving expression to it in this space, we get to hold that joy with you and feel its warmth and its brightness? The joy?
The fun the kids had on Halloween.
The fun the children had on Halloween.
The Brandywine River yesterday at Breck's Mill with the sun on it and the water flowing and sound of it. It was just joyful.
The feeling of ecstasy that he had as he watched the Brandywine River yesterday with the sun illuminating it.
Breck's Mill is in Wilmington for those who haven't found it.
Yeah, I know that. We're going to do that in a moment. Anything else?
My 18-month-old granddaughter can now say Nana.
18-month granddaughter can now say Nana. Great. She likes hearing Nana. Let's just say Nana to her. Any other joys? Yes.
We love our new home, and we are going to be voting Tuesday for the first time as Pennsylvania.
Okay, great. Okay, they love their new home, and they're going to vote in Pennsylvania on Tuesday. Niece got a new job. Any other joys? We're going here first. Okay, sister's fifth round of IVF was successful.
My husband and children, who I was away from for a month, made it on Monday, and even my daughter said, "You're right, Mom, Delaware is nicer."
Oh, yeah, so her family has joined her here in Delaware and feel that her promise to them is right. Delaware is nicer.
I'm proud of my grandson for guarding nuclear weapons, even though he's not getting paid.
Okay, her grandson guarding nuclear weapons. Michael. Beautiful fall morning. Oh, nice. Son Andrew is home for a week. Go ahead. Okay. When you paused, we're expecting. I paused myself. Third great grandchild? Okay, wonderful. Anyone else in this area? Okay, what about here or here? Yes. I think you all heard that, okay? Getting to play with 7 and 9-year-old great nieces. Kate?
My 50-year-old husband was out of work for 7 months and found his dream job.
Cousin was out of work and has found his dream job.
Being here for the first time in service.
Yes, great. So in life, sorrows and joys are intertwined, and our heart is big enough and wide enough to hold them all in this caring and beloved community. Now we'll have a musical meditation.
If you'd like to stand as you're able and join us when you feel ready. Oh.
we rise, humbly hearted rise. We won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. We rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. And we rise, humbly hearted rise. We won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here.
So our reading this morning is entitled, We Were Made for These Times, like Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Do not lose heart. We were made for these times. I have heard from so many recently who are deeply and properly bewildered. They are concerned about the state of affairs in our world right now. Abject disregard of what the soul finds most precious and irreplaceable, and the corruption of principled ideals have become, in some large societal arenas, the new normal, the grotesquerie of the weak. You are right in your assessments. The luster and hubris some have aspired to while endorsing acts so heinous against children, elders, and everyday people, the poor, the unguarded, the helpless, is breathtaking. Yet, I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times. Especially, do not lose hope. The fact is, we were made for these times. Yes, for years, we have been learning, practicing, been in training for, and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. I cannot tell you often enough that we are definitely the leaders we have been waiting for, and that we have been raised since childhood for this time precisely. In your wildest dreams, is what is occurring today in America what you imagined America would become? Were you raised to be prepared for this, as Clarissa Pinkola Estes asserts? Over the last year, it seems that the dreams that we may have held, the ideals that we may have fought for, have been attacked and diminished in ways that we could never have imagined. The immensity of the changes, the enormity of the human cost on the most vulnerable, and the weight of what we have had to hold need to be spoken aloud. Just this week, as you know, 42 million people are about to lose their supplemental nutrition assistance program food benefits, while others in our government seemed content to proceed. It was James Baldwin who said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed unless it is faced." And so I venture to face some of what we are facing now and to speak truth to power. I endeavor to call forth in us the full weight of our moral strength as a faith community for the sake of all of us, for those we do not know, for the sake of future generations, and for the sake of the relevance of our own faith, and for the sake of our fragile earth. Is this the America that you dreamed of as a child? Were you raised to be prepared for this, as Pinkola Estes asserts? Since January of this year, we could easily forget what has already happened as we brace ourselves for what is happening next. Let me take one more example to make this point. Remember how the DOGE effort made immediate and rapid cuts to the U.S. aid programs? Can we even take in the massive impacts of these cuts in the increased mortality, weakened healthcare systems, disease outbreaks in various places in the globe that depended on the funds and the expertise of the United States programs continuing? Can we even take it in? One study in The Lancet said that these cuts could result in over 14 million deaths by 2030, with 14 million dying in the next 5 years. My heart breaks to think of it. And then we move on to whatever we're facing next. And it's been like that for over a year. You hear what I'm saying? Is this the kind of America that we dreamed we would be in the global community? Were you raised as a child to be prepared for this kind of cruelty? It has caused me to ponder, when and how did I dare to dream anything different for this country? I realize that my religious ideals are deeply intertwined with my aspirations for this world that we share. I can't conveniently disregard that what is going on today is anything but moral corruption, masquerading as partisan politics and government efficiency. Do you hear what I'm saying? When I recall my childhood, I realized I wasn't prepared for this scope of things. I grew up in a time when the evils of racism were beginning to forthrightly be addressed in the civil rights marches and in government legislatures. I grew up in a time when poverty in America was being fought against as a war on poverty. I grew up in a time when a new frontier was declared by a president, a new frontier which aimed to address the challenges like poverty, civil rights, education, and the space race. Just a footnote. A new frontier is a much different tone than making something great again. One is forward, one is backward looking. Just a commentary. I grew up in a time when religious values called us to engage in the world in a forthright way, to alleviate suffering and struggle for justice. I grew up in a time when we dared to dream the impossible dream, fight the unbeatable foe, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. Join me as I recall just a few snippets about how I was raised to believe that it was possible to be a better America. You might resonate with some of this. These will all appear in the movie that one day will be made about my life, starring a very attractive leading actor. So this is a preview, really a retrospective memory. On one particular day when I was a student at Our Lady of the Most Holy Rosary Catholic School, I found my way through the pews at a weekday mass with my 7-year-old political enthusiasm. I had my Kennedy button, that's John F. Kennedy, displayed on my khaki, well-ironed shirt. I must have given some sort of high five or whatever it is we did back there to the gathering of friends. There was some energy among most of us, many of us who were first or second generation Americans. Some of us were the children of immigrants. We were the embodied dreams of our parents or grandparents who dared to believe that their dreams and hopes could be realized one way or another through who we would become. John F. Kennedy, the Roman Catholic candidate, seemed to knit us together in a hope for some small place in the American dream. I felt excited. I felt that we might win. Something got planted in me during that time when some years later my father took me to actually see President Kennedy speak in a big plaza downtown. Quotes and phrases resounded in the air and the airwaves at that time. Phrases such as, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Or again, that phrase, the new frontier, or a new Peace Corps. It was the spirit of the time, a sense of optimism, a sense of hopefulness, a conviction that the world was moving in some forward direction, not without some real struggles, but that we could trust that it will all turn out okay someday, and more people would eventually be helped, included, and have a dream realized for them. The Roman Catholic nuns in my parochial school, maybe they were a little on the radical edge, kept us aware of the civil rights struggles of the time of marches and the fight for more black children our age to enroll in our school to learn alongside of us. We sang the songs of the civil rights movement in folk mass services, such as We Shall Overcome, and peace songs such as Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Anyone else share that time with me? Yes, okay. Give us our nostalgic moment here. In the broader culture, too, there was this song such as Up, Up with People. Who knows that song? Let's sing it together. Up, up with people, you meet them wherever you go. Up with people, they're the best kind of folks to know. If more people were for people, yes, people everywhere, there'd be a lot less people to worry about and a lot more people who care. I could go on, but I'll stop. But do you get a sense of the tenor of that times, the milieu in which I was raised to think of a better America was possible? Do you get the sense that I'm trying to convey here? Then, years later, Kennedy was assassinated. You would think that that was when my dreams about America would shatter. Yet I felt propelled forward to continue this new frontier that Kennedy had started as he inspired a new generation to make the America that we would become. There were horrors then as well, as you know. The Vietnam War was one. And then there were more assassinations of prophets of hope, such as Robert Kennedy Jr. and bold dreamers like Martin Luther King Jr. These assassinations brought home the fact that to dream meant you could also risk sorrow and unexpected nightmares. Yet I clung to hope and to a dream for America, which, please note, is different than an American dream. In this milieu, I felt a growing inner devotion to serving the possibilities that were preached to me in my childhood and intricately linked to the gospel stories of a new kingdom of love and justice that Jesus preached. I had numerous examples of people who struggled to bring about a better world. Of course, time and events conspired to expose the real gaps between America's idealistic dreams and America's harsh realities. Unjust wars, relentless oppressions, widening gaps between the rich and the middle and the working classes. Yet I continue to dare to dream like a flickering ember, ready to be ignited. Even in the midst of all that contradicted dreaming or hoping again, I knew of a dream's warmth. I sensed a dream's presence. Dreams propelled me. I was infused with genuine hopefulness. So those are some snippets of how I was raised. These were the decidedly hopeful, guarded, but practically optimistic notes that still linger in me, still reside in my soul, still influence how I interpret current events. The stories that Prentice Hemphill, an activist and a therapist, tells about her childhood in her book, What It Takes to Heal, are quite different than mine. One of the compelling stories that Hemphill tells is when her fourth grade teacher gave the class an assignment to study a figure in American history, prepare a report for the class on the person, present it dressed as that person to the class. There were many, she notes, there were many George Washingtons, Abraham Lincolns, and Benjamin Franklins in her class. The students used construction paper to create hats and pieces of wig to look authentic. Temple, a young black girl, was inspired by the story of Harriet Tubman, and she had her mother create her costume. She writes, Tubman had escaped slavery and led scores of others to freedom through channels called the Underground Railroad. She was the freedom the forefathers alluded to but were terrified of. She was the true story at the heart of this country, the contradiction in the pursuit, the hidden pulse under the war drums, a black woman in the white man's vision of the world. Harriet lived in the shadows and the cracks of that world, traversing and widening them until something broke open. If she had found a way to make her body free, I knew that I could too. Though the worlds of mine and Hemphill's upbringing and the worlds that we've had to navigate are much different, I share with Hemphill some of the same understanding of the power of vision, the necessity of dreaming. She writes, We need visions within us that make our stomachs quiver and cause us to come alive. Then we can show up more authentically, reshape the contours of our community, rework the structures of our world. Harriet dreamed of freedom as a child long before she was freed. In this time, we need the sight that she had to see beyond the walls of other people's vision. And we need this as a central practice. Temple also offers this insight. I don't think healing begins where we think it does, in our doing something. I believe it begins in another realm altogether, the realm of dreams and imagination, a realm that I might call spirit, a place of potential where possibilities reside, where we retrieve through prayer or in dreams visions for ourselves and for the world that make us more whole. And with our visions in place, we can realize them through what follows, our commitment and the steps that we take toward them. And so there's a lesson in her writings. I want to lay it out for you. It's a practical lesson embedded in what Hempel is offering us here that I believe is a lesson for these exact times that we are in. First, allow yourself to dream. Don't let circumstances diminish your capacity to dream. You hear what I'm saying? Let that dream ignite a commitment for you alongside of others. Let the commitment be embodied in such a way that it does not leave you, but beckons you to create steps to respond to the gap between what is right now and what could be. First dream. Let that dream become a commitment for you that you then embody in specific actions, always stirred and empowered and recharged first by that dream. Got it? I found many other voices echoing this conviction of the importance of starting with a grounding, compelling, and propelling vision. Robin Kelly's book, Freedom Dreams, The Black Radical Imagination, offers these words: without new visions, we don't know what to build, only what to knock down. We not only end up confused, rudderless, and cynical, but we forget that making a revolution is not a series of clever maneuvers and tactics, but a process that can and must transform us. Walter Brueggemann, the biblical scholar and theologian, offers an echo here. He writes, the prophet engages in futuring fantasy. The prophet does not ask if the vision can be implemented, for the questions of implementation are of no consequence until the vision can be imagined. The imagination must come before the implementation. Our culture is competent to implement almost anything and to imagine almost nothing. So I believe we are made for these times. If we continue to hold on and to embody our dream for a better, more just world. If you were raised to dream that dream, don't let those muscles atrophy. That dream can ignite commitments in us. And when we fail to keep our commitments, or our world as it is contradicts our commitments, then our dream is our pilot light to return to again and again and again and again. From our commitments, we then design actions and practices that help us keep us steady in the midst of adversity. Congregations, in my opinion, are one of the places that we can return to find that pilot light within and among us. Congregations can be places that support us in designing and living out our commitments. I fear that the times that we are in might cause some of us to extinguish or minimize the dream that we have that compels and propels us to create that better world. But we need to nurture and cultivate that among ourselves. This month, we will be holding up exemplars of compassionate action that rose at another frightful time in our world. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, UUSC, notice some things here, originated in May 1940 as the Unitarian Service Committee, founded by the American Unitarian Association to assist European refugees fleeing Nazi persecution. You'll hear more about this when Beverly speaks to us this morning. But the ongoing stories of the UUSC to organize grassroots efforts to join in partnership with other organizations around the world and this country are the ones that we will celebrate and support through the UUSC's Guest at Your Table program. In conclusion, I'm inspired by your presence here this morning, by our efforts as a congregation to keep alive our imagination for a world transformed by our care, and of all the many ways that we embody compassionate, loving, transformative action week to week as part of our work in this congregation. To say that we live in challenging times is not a cliche this morning. It's a stark reality. So I offer these closing words by Toni Morrison in her book, No Place for Self-Pity, No Room for Fear. The title itself is worth all. She writes, I know the world is bruised and bleeding, and though it is important not to ignore this pain, it is also critical to refuse to succumb to its malevolence. Like failure, chaos contains information that can lead to knowledge, even wisdom. Indeed, we were made for these times. We've got to keep on moving forward. We must rise to the moment that we are in. So be it.
2 weeks ago, I had the great joy of having lunch with a dear college friend that I hadn't seen in over 30 years. We had stayed in touch for a time after college, despite our physical distance, while our kids were young. But as often happens, life got more complicated and staying in touch got more challenging. And despite the best intentions, we eventually lost contact with each other until a few months ago when we connected again through Instagram. I knew she had moved to the Charleston, South Carolina area and took advantage of my planned trip there for a wedding to carve out some time for lunch. It was surprisingly easy to fall back into our comfortable friendship roles, and we were able to use the sort of conversational shorthand that often stays with close friends to summarize our past 30 years of living, which, like the lives of most people, were filled with twists, turns, successes, failures, joys, and disappointments. Interestingly, we had both only recently entered into our first experiences living alone in an apartment. And even more interestingly, we both had similar journeys to our new beginnings. We shared that we were fearful, anxious, not sure if we had it in us to start over as a solo act at our ages, and that ultimately we find ourselves now in a very good place spiritually and emotionally, learning that we are more accepting of change, more comfortable with uncertainty, and totally okay with not having to know and control what comes next, trusting from experience that we can handle it. It was deeply, deeply meaningful to both of us to be able to share these experiences and for each of us to know that the other made it through the rain and is okay. The next day after I arrived home, I saw a Facebook post that read, "Stop being ashamed of how many times you've fallen and start being proud of how many times you've gotten up." It struck me that that was pretty much what my friend and I had discovered about ourselves and shared with each other. The bumps and bruises of decades past taught us that we get up again every time. And each time we are braver and stronger than the last. While we are still a bit shocked to wake up each day and see a senior citizen on Medicare in the mirror, and not sure what will come next health-wise or ability-wise as we continue to grow older, we have learned from our experiences to have faith in ourselves that we can and will meet whatever the next moment is. One of the biggest reasons I have found my way to a calmer place in my journey is my dear First U community. The friendships, the support, encouragement, the moments of sharing and healing, of leaning on friends through challenging times, of expressing myself here as a worship associate or through our wonderful music program, of opportunities to grow and learn, to try new things, to see how far I can fly. They are a priceless gift. You all play a part in my knowing that I can get up again, and I am filled with gratitude for every one of you. I'm confident that there are many, most, or all in this room that have had to get up again over and over, and you should all be proud of how many times you've gotten up. Always remember that. Say it with me. We get up again. We get up again. Today's offertory music rings so true to me about First U. My strength is your strength. We will carry each other. Reverend Larry rightly asserts that we are indeed made for these times. Even on the days where the country seems to be an impossibly unfixable disaster, we have the strength, the wisdom, the experience to fight for what we believe in. And we have each other to lean on through whatever we are facing. So I ask you now to consider what value First U holds for you and what you are willing and able to give, be it monetary donations or volunteer hours, to help keep our church strong and stable. And I will leave you with one last quote, which a different friend posted just the other day. The strongest steel is forged in the fire of a dumpster. As the ushers pass the collection baskets, the 4 ways of giving to First U will appear on the screen. Your generous donations are received with gratitude. Please join me now in dedicating our offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. if you have a chalice at home. In each breath we take, we remember the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, choir. And Tracy, it was really beautiful, really beautiful. I just want to watch it all again on video, and I can. Before the benediction and the closing hymn, Beverly Baxter will begin our series of testimonials about the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee.
As Larry said, today begins this year's annual Guest at Your Table program, where we learn about the work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, UUSC, and find ways to support this work. As you read in the letter First U members and friends received this last week, UUSC began in 1939 during World War II when Martha and Waitstill Sharp left their church and 2 young children in Wellesley, Massachusetts, to go to Prague, Czechoslovakia, to help rescue intellectuals, artists, Jews, and others targeted by the Nazis. Even though the Sharps had to flee Prague to avoid arrest, the service committee continued throughout the war from southern France, then Spain, to rescue those targeted by the Nazis. What some may not know is that the flaming chalice, which we light each Sunday at the beginning of our service, was originally drawn by painter and musician Hans Deutsch, a refugee from Nazi occupation in Paris, and adopted by the service committee as its symbol in 1941. It became an underground symbol in occupied Europe during World War II for assistance to help Unitarians, Jews, and others to escape the Nazis. 84 years later, nearly every Unitarian Universalist church begins its service by lighting the flaming chalice. So every time we light our flaming chalice, we can also celebrate the work of the service committee, which has a history of going where others won't, of doing what others will not, of addressing the needs of the marginalized, of taking on the sandpaper issues, those that are too rough for other organizations. UUSC has a rich history, including empowering untouchable women in India before the world took notice, and partnering in Rwanda before the world responded to the genocide. UUSC's current work, with over 70 partners in over 20 countries, ranges from supporting partners in Myanmar, where the Rohingya have faced genocide, to partners in the Solomon Islands, Kiribati, Alaska, the Louisiana bayous, where indigenous communities are under threat from climate-based forced displacement. UUSC's work on migrant justice includes the right to safety in Central America, the right to safety on the migrant trail, and human rights in the U.S. immigration system. As many of you know, Doyle and I have visited with partners in Myanmar, Nicaragua, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, and more, and have seen firsthand how the service committee partners are impacting lives. There are a lot of organizations to which we all contribute, but the service committee is unique, not only in that instead of sending Americans with answers, it works through supporting and empowering local partners, but also because it is our human rights organization based upon our UU principles, respecting the inherent worth and dignity of every person and the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. You, along with UUs across the country, make the work of the Service Committee possible. If you didn't receive the letter this week with the Stories of Hope and donation envelope, you can pick one up at the UUSC table in the parish hall following the service. Or you can stop there to check out Susan and Kevin's honey. Again, it is you, along with UUs across the country, who make the work of the Service Committee possible. Thank you.
So one brief announcement from the search committee.
Very brief. This is just a reminder about the Break Barriers, Build Beliefs workshop presented by the Unitarian Universalist Association in support of our settled minister search. It's Saturday, November the 15th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Here and online. If you're here, bring a bagged lunch. And please fill out the survey that was prepared by the UUA in support of the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you. How's your chakra doing? Next Sunday, Kate, would you stand for a moment? Kate's going to lead a live stream workshop after the service. If you haven't registered, please go online and register for it. Speaking of the live stream, we're trying to get more members on our team. You'll see there's a table in the coffee in the parish hall. You can find out more about what our team does. And I have a special thank you to Stephen Cohen, who this week got a power washer and transformed those benches in our memorial garden. Steve, you've got to go and see it. You can now sit on them. And Steve reminded me that today is celebrated as All Souls Day, a time of remembering those who have died. So you might want to spend a moment in our memorial garden before you leave today. So please join now in singing the closing song, Life Calls Us On. The words will appear on the screen. Oh, forgot to do the benediction. Hold on. The benediction will be quick. Going to keep on moving forward. Going to keep on moving forward. What are we going to do? Never turning back. What? Now, our closing hymn. Life Calls Us On.
With a
Thank you.